Yo, this is Juwan Hakeem here with the Minds with Hakeem podcast, sharing an Iowa-based nonprofit, Jonathan House International. We have JHI's director with us today, here to share their mission statement.
Our mission statement at JHI is walking with communities to bring spiritual and physical transformation.
Now, tell us a little bit more about what you guys do at JHI.
At JHI, we support international missions being led by local people. We support them through their operations, spiritual development, and economic development projects.
Now, how can the Minds with Hakeem community support you guys and stand behind you?
There's a few different ways to get involved. You can become a sponsor either of a child, support one of our leaders working in different countries, volunteer with us, really anything that you feel like you have a gift to give. We want to receive it and we want to help others with that.
Now, tell us how the Minds with Hakeem community can financially support JHI.
Even starting with as little as $5 makes a huge impact on our organization and those that we sponsor. Every little bit helps, and we just want to invite you to walk with us as we walk with communities.
Nice. Now, last but not least, tell us where we can locate you guys and how can we get in contact with y'all.
You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and our website at jonathansHouseintl.org.
This is Justyn Lewis, businessman, entrepreneur, nonprofit leader, and candidate for Des Moines City Council. You're listening to The Minds with Hakeem.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Minds with Hakeem podcast. It's your host, Juwan, and I got the pleasure to sit here with Justyn Lewis today. What's up, brother?
What's going on?
Man, pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited about this one. Episode 1 of season 4, so I think I got a brilliant mind up here today for you guys, so I hope you guys ready to learn and ready to get excited about what Justyn's doing in the city. And we're going to take off from here, man. So how are you, brother? You doing all right today?
I'm doing good today.
Yeah, that's good,
Busy
man.
day, but a good day. So.
Hey, man, I can imagine your schedule is jam-packed right now, but we do appreciate your time for coming on, sitting down with us, and spilling into our people, and just also introducing more people to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to jump right off. New icebreaker question. Let me go see what IG did. The people chose today. So this is the question for season 4. If you could learn one skill today, what would it be and why?
One skill today. Ooh.
A new skill.
So I was just thinking a couple of days ago, it'd be nice to know carpentry, so how to build a house.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be the number one skill I'd be interested in doing, and then concrete. So yeah.
Hey, those are two extremely profitable things, especially right now in this crazy market. Like if you know how to build and also lay concrete, man, you can those are awesome skills. I just learned flooring, with one of my buddies. He owned a company. I was helping him out. Dude, that is hard. You don't
work.
Hey, that's some real work. That's nice.
Absolutely.
But why would you want to learn that new skill? Just for the profit margins right now, or?
So I'm business minded, so I'm always thinking about the next investment. And I'd love to just build my own dream home too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, hey, no, that's a goal of mine as well. It's something different about when you put your hands actually on stuff. We as humans, we value it more.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
No, that's dope. One skill, carpentry and
concrete.
Concrete, boy, some labor. All right, man, let's get into it. Let's get into you first. Let's get into what you're doing. Before we get into what you're doing now, tell us where you're from, man, where you came up at, and give us a little bit about your adolescence.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Justyn Lewis, Justyn, a little different.
The Y is interesting.
Mom put some flair on it.
Yeah.
I'm an East Side native, so a lifelong Des Moines resident.
East Side pride.
I've been here all my life, and I'm 31. So graduated from East High School in 2008, and then went to Iowa State and graduated in 2012 with a political science degree. Came home with $30,000 in student loan debt and was trying to figure out how to get past that. So I started a small business called Lewis Lawn and Labor, Inc., and I've been running that since 2012. And we had a plethora of accounts, and we were employing 8 folks. And then we had to shut it down because the cost of having our first child was $10,000. Yeah, we just got that paid off too.
That's different.
So we shut it down. I went and worked for an employer that I'm still at and looking to leave here soon. And now we had our second child, and he was free to have because the insurance and benefits were so good. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I also run a nonprofit called Des Moines Selma, where we go into corporations and nonprofits and we educate them on implicit biases and Black experiences. I run a program called Questions with My One Black Friend, where white folks can submit questions to increase their understanding of Black reality and experiences so that they can start working to become allies and show up when it matters most, and that's every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I run now. I still run those both while working a full-time job. I'm looking to transition out of that full-time job and run my business and nonprofit full-time. So I'm just waiting for that perfect timing, and I think it's almost here. So yeah,
I think we just skipped the intro, Marquis. Hold on, hand claps. Yeah. No, man, that's awesome, and we'll make sure we have all those links and the details below this episode for you guys, so you can get in touch and follow him more. And also, how can you help out on either way? So we'll take care of you in that manner, brother. Sure. But I want to jump back to Des Moines real quick because you said you're 31. You went to Iowa State. You went to Iowa State with so many of my friends right now that's around that age. Like, it's crazy to me. But coming up from Des Moines, besides Ames, have you ever left Des Moines or lived outside of the city?
So yeah, just in Ames and Des Moines. I went on a mission trip to Mexico. I've been to other cities for like less than 2 weeks. I've been to Colorado. I go to Colorado once a year for a week just to snowboard with some of my best friends.
From college?
From college and high school. So it's a group of Black guys. We go and we just rock the mountain and own it. And we have a lot of folks who are like, dang, okay,
I see you.
They were like, we're from Iowa and Kansas. They're like, oh my gosh, y'all snowboard out there?
Midwesterns? No, that's dope. I want to get into kind of like, and if you're from Des Moines, you'll know what I'm getting at, is that East Side pride. You say you're from the East. So can you kind of unpack the East Side pride that you had to come up with, man? Like, absolutely. I think that's interesting. Des Moines is an interesting city in that aspect. Yeah,
being from the East Side, it's blue collar all the way. So nothing's given, everything's earned. I ran track, played football, wrestled. And we did it all. We had all of it. We had a stigma from other schools that like we were less than, and our coaches told us like that's bull. Like, don't believe that, but make that and allow that to motivate you to work even harder. And we would just come out dogs on the field, dogs on the track, and just run people down, and win races and win games because we knew we were counted out. So I love being the underdog. I love coming from the East Side. It has given me a great work ethic. And where my heart resides. So.
Absolutely. Hey, I just want to give hand claps to the East Side because now that everything's moving west, we're gonna bring it back east. So that's for the East Side pride and all my East Siders. I got a ton of friends from the East Side, and I moved from Houston and to Grandview,
the East Side.
It's real. It's East Side, but like when I now that I've been in the city for like 8 years now, I've been meeting the real East Siders. Like they're like, Grandview is really North Side, and I'm like, wait. Fairgrounds? That's the real. Okay, so I just respect that pride, and I see that chip on people from the East Side that I personally know, and you gotta respect that grind, like especially.
It's all about work ethic and going after it. So
absolutely,
I wouldn't change or be from another side of town anywhere else. So
that's what's up, man.
That's my spot.
That's what's up, man. Appreciate that spill too. So you kind of already hit it a little bit, but what are some other big challenges that you faced as an adolescent that may have driven you into this position that you're going to now, which we'll get into later?
Big challenges. Oh my gosh, that's a good one. I think as Black males, we are already labeled a certain way.
Absolutely.
So it's just breaking out of that mold that the world and society says that who we are. So that was one thing I remember as a child, being steered or navigated or told you're supposed to be a certain way because of my skin color. And then, going into high school and finding myself and then going into college and really starting to explore the world And now I'm in my 30s. I'm like, look, I am who I am.
Yeah.
I'm a do things that's snowboarding and skateboarding and start a business and politics and things that's out of the ordinary and not the norm.
Especially in Iowa.
So, yes.
For a black man, let me say that, especially in Iowa. Got a flying set.
Oh, yeah.
That's like hard anywhere, but like if you really know the dynamics of Iowa, like I think I looked up the demographic of Des Moines this year, and I think it was 90% Caucasian, and like the rest was just a fizzle or sprinkle. So like anything like in position of power, position of leadership, most importantly, that a black man or woman is doing is important, and we should all get behind that message and challenge it, and also run with it. You know what I mean? So like that's dope. That challenges that you continue to face is still here today, and you're 31. You're gonna do what you gotta do. He's like, hey, it's time to be myself completely now. Okay. But how do you respond to doubt, especially like with everything you just talked about and the political stage that you're in right now? How do you respond to doubt, younger, and now how are you responding to doubt as a 31-year-old black man?
Doubt as a young man, oh my gosh, how did I respond? So I know like when I know before track events, I'll tell you what I did. I like meditated and like went to a quiet place in my mind to just force out anything that would have had me doubt my abilities. And then I would get onto the line and line up and be ready to run because I drowned out all the noise. It's the same way with, being an adult and definitely running a business and running a nonprofit and now running in and owning this space of politics. There's going to be a lot of naysayers, and definitely in politics, there's a lot of opinionated folks who typically only see what you represent and immediately get an opinion on you instead of giving you a chance of meeting you. So one thing I've been learning is to, again, drown out the noise, focus on my platform, focus on my beliefs, be my genuine self, which people will see that and they will lean in.
Nice.
I've studied politics. We know that politicians will do what's best for them, and I've been being very candid and empathetic and vulnerable and just opening my heart, because you don't see that. You see cold responses and things that can be very gross. So I just want to blaze a new trail in politics and hopefully set the example and standard for people coming behind me. So because in a lot of the things that you do, I'll be honest, even myself to a small extent, it's easy to lose yourself. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest challenges. So the fact that you drown it out as a kid and still today, that's super impactful and super powerful, because not a lot of people have those qualities. I wish it's tough.
More of us did. Like, you got to drown that noise out. So I commend you on that, brother. Thank you. Okay, Connor, let's get into is it an official campaign now, correct? Like,
it's
okay.
Okay,
I just want to make sure my wordage is right. So what motivated you to run for city council, and how do you hope to make a difference when elected?
What motivated? So this has always been a lifelong dream, and I know people talk about it as, running for office has always been a dream, and it's cliche, but this truly has been. And I had a teacher from middle school and high school both reach out and say, you've been talking about this since you was a little kid, and you're finally now doing it. Like that, it's crazy. Like, I'll support, and they've donated, and it's been nice.
That's absolutely amazing. So see life come full circle.
Yeah, so it's always been in my heart, that and running and starting and running businesses. And then what really made me jump was after Black Lives Matter, and seeing why things were taking place, seeing the lack of representation for other communities, really pushed me to go. And then also seeing the environment, people were ready for change. I was like, all right, well, I think it's time to jump, and I did that. So we've been very well received. I have folks that are in their 80s, and they see the need to shift the demographic on the council. I had an 80-year-old lady say, we need people, and she pointed out my skin color, like you. Yeah. And she's like, I hope I don't offend you, but your community isn't represented, and it could give us another perspective to make Des Moines even better. And I said, wow, that's deep. And
yeah, she didn't lie.
I was like,
she did not lie.
I was like, I can't say that publicly because I'm going to offend some people, but I do it in other approaches. Like I talk about demographic. I do talk about our community not being represented in all other communities as well. I can't speak for everyone. I can't speak for the Latino community, but I know good activists that I will poll in when a decision needs to be made that is going to affect their community. I know good people from the Asian community that are activists and leaders that I will be pulling in to help me make good decisions and so forth in every other community. So we need leaders like that.
Oh my bad.
No,
how important is it for you to connect those communities to Black communities, Latino, Asian, and not try to keep them so much as divided in this world we're in today? So how important is that to you?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is my main things I talk about is breaking barriers and building bridges. So removing the barriers that separate us and building the bridges that connect us. So
it's powerful.
One thing I talk about is I'm not a politician, I'm an activist going after a seat of a politician. And I'll be an activist facilitating government for the people. So I always talk about how it's important that people's lived experiences will govern the seat. People's lived realities will govern the seat. And it will truly be a representative government and seat as well. So that's how I plan to facilitate is showing up in these communities, connecting other communities, realizing their strength in numbers, and doing the work that way. So,
and during the pandemic, I will attest to the few times I was out supporting the cause and pushing the movement. I saw you front line speaking with people in leadership on the other side. Maybe it was a lead officer trying to keep the violence down, trying to keep everything calm. So you did take that leap. You did take that jump that a lot of brothers and sisters and different races did not take. So I saw you frontlining those movements on your own. So that was pretty powerful, and I appreciate that. Just seeing that with my own two eyes.
Thank you. The movement has power, and I just studying politics, I have seen the rises of movements come and go and fall, and I know what breaks them, and I know what makes them stronger. So, like being mindful of optics, being mindful of who you're speaking to, being mindful of the folks that have the money and resources, pulling them in and saying, this is why change needs to take place, instead of excluding them out. We exclude them out, they'll never be able to be held accountable for what they're doing.
No, for sure.
So, I don't know. I just, again, it's
That's
that
true.
breaking barriers, building bridges, and doing the work. It's tough. I hear a lot of interesting stuff that I don't agree with, but it's about, making sure all communities are being represented well and at the same rate. So, and
we got to get back to agreeing to disagree instead of counseling. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
Instead of exiling people from communities.
That's good. That's a good point.
Man, and we gonna get into that in the end. I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm really passionate about why council culture isn't good for us. But I'll kind of let you pick your brains on it in the end. So check this out. I know when buying a home for the first time can be a very stressful process. But that's why it's good to give it a good lender like my buddy Jared Nicholson from Key Mortgage Group. He's so active to educate his borrowers and also let people be aware of their blind spots. This is a good man to make your lifetime lender, to make your process super, super stress-free, and don't be turned off by the housing process. You can follow him and find him at jnhomeloan.com. So let me spell that out for you. jnhomeloan.com. So tap in with him. Jared NMLS number is 1969744. I repeat that. 1969744. So what do you hope to change within the Iowa Democratic Party on city council?
So this is a nonpartisan race, but I am a Democrat.
Okay.
What I would like to see change is the demographic shift. So younger folks getting involved. So specifically, we speak about city council. There's there's 5 generations right now in the workforce. On city council, there are 3 generations representing the whole population.
And is that what at large means?
Yeah. At large means the whole city. Everyone gets an opportunity to run for me. There's 4 wards in the city of Des Moines, and 2 at-large seats.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
So yeah, no problem. So with that, 3 generations representing 5 generations at least is susceptible to blind spots and people's needs not being met. Me entering in to city council, I'll be the 4th generation of folks from Des Moines, and being able to represent folks well. I bring a different perspective as well, so that will help. But that's what I want to see, is a shifting demographic, more African Americans, more Latinos, more Asians, more women, more people our age, people younger than us as well running. And then we'll start seeing some good change as well.
Yeah, I have got tugged on the political. Somebody tried to say, "Hey, you should be in the." I'm scared of it. So I could
really?
and we'll have to have a conversation later. But I'm terrified. But I'm down.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it's just that when you make that leap is huge. It's tremendous because you are that face behind your campaign. Everything you do, in hindsight, is being monitored. To a point where you got to be clean cut, which that's not a problem, but it's just it's here. We looking for dirt on you right now.
Oh,
you know what
I'm
I
sure
mean?
They are.
Yeah, exactly.
But I tell folks I'm not perfect. Don't expect perfection.
Absolutely.
But expect a person on a journey of life just like you. So don't put me on a pedestal.
That's huge.
And I just walk humbly, and I don't think I'm anybody of importance. Again, I'm just trying to facilitate government for folks.
That's huge, man.
And that's as simple as that. So don't, to your viewers, don't put me on a pedestal.
He said, I'm still that guy with you.
I'm still from the community. I'm still from the streets, and I'm
Eastside Pride, baby.
So, don't consider me someone else. I'm just
respectfully. But if you could amend the Constitution, what would you add?
Oh boy,
this is a huge one. I'll be real. My fiance lobbed this question to me, and she was like, "You should ask him this."
Wow, if I could amend the Constitution. Well, I think right now what I would do is voting rights. So if we were at the very creation of the Constitution, the first thing I would do is making sure that everyone was actually treated equally, but we know that's not to be true.
For a fact.
But the first thing is put in that not just white male landowners could vote, but black, Latinos, Asian, and women, and anyone else that was here, Irish and Italian, because they weren't allowed to vote for the longest.
I didn't even
give
know
them
that.
the rights to vote, but then protect it so folks can't harass them at the polling places. They didn't have to own land. They didn't have to count how many beans was in a jar. They didn't have to take a literacy test. So I think I would have set the standard there and made it so strenuous and as tough for states to change laws and marginalize and disfranchise folks. Because right now we're seeing that take place in nearly all states that are currently red. We are requiring people to have voter IDs or IDs to vote. And we know that the DMV is not the most efficient place
of order.
And we know also folks that are fighting to survive just don't have the time to sit in those long lines to get those as well.
And that factors into the voter suppression that is here today. And we need to continue to try to tear down those walls. Speaking of the Constitution, we still in it right now.
Still very much in the thick of it. So I'm hoping they pass the John Lewis voting rights bill, but that'll be at the federal, national level.
Okay.
But I think that's the first thing I would have done is,
Took
make sure
voting.
Everyone was treated equally, so there were no slaves. Italians were treated fairly. Irish were treated fairly. Women were being treated fairly. Our Asian brothers and sisters were being treated fairly. That they had a vested interest in this country, and they weren't just building infrastructure and roads and railroads, and we were just utilizing their labor and kicking them to the side. So I mean, we could go for days.
For sure.
It's with the Constitution,
but that's the first thing you would do.
Right.
I think we got to leave it at the first thing
because even if you look at it, so if I studied a little bit of law at Iowa State. I was pre-law, and then I didn't go to law school because it was too expensive.
Oh my goodness!
But
you'd have
if you
left
look
with
at
80,000 and did.
Oh yeah, I'd have been. Oh, it's nuts. But if you look at it, so from the creation of the Constitution, it started it wasn't blemish, but it was a document, and then that document gets revised as it goes to court, and then it stalemates, then advances, and back and forth. So you have all these court battles that they reference. So if they just set the standard, I feel like the country would have been way off better than what it is now.
Yeah.
But that's me speaking hypothetically. So yeah,
it's all hearsay because like what the order of the country wasn't there. That's why it's always a good question. That's why it blows my mind that document can't be touched. Like,
oh, they act like it can't be touched.
Let me say that. Yeah, my bad. Great correction. That we act like that document can't be touched. It blows my mind. But kind of let's shift into the media with politics as well, stepping into that light. So although that social media has become such a great outlet for people to have more of a widespread connection, it's also easy to create false narratives and false personas. Even if it is unintentional, because I think a lot of it may sometimes really truly be copycat world. He posted this, so that's what it is. You know what I mean? So do you believe that it is a tough task to stay authentic in your message and also in yourself to get genuine support versus playing clickbait, posting the reactions?
So I just with social media, I just am myself. Like I don't use too many filters. If you go to my private Instagram, I don't use too many. I actually don't use any filters. I just post. Yep. I share the music I listen to quite frequently. I'm not out for followers. I guess I want to just share my life, and if you want to follow.
No problem.
If you want to be my friend, cool. If not, like, it's whatever. I'm just here to just vibe and have a good life and do unto others as I want to be done unto me. So
if we could all live by that golden rule.
I try.
If we could all live by that golden rule. In the sense of,
now it's difficult when you get some hostile folk.
No, bro, people will turn up because it's like, it's just as simple as this. If I'm a 12-year-old kid and you're a 31-year-old man and we're playing a video game together online and I'm talking all kind of smack to you, you ain't this, your mama this, your mom, your daddy that, online. But if how we grew up, if you playing the game side by side and you that 31-year-old man and I'm that 12-year-old, I won't be saying none of that. Right. That's what social media creates, that fake
that
persona that they can't be touched physically because they're protected by a device and the screen. And I know, like, especially running a campaign, you probably get some wild stuff. Not yet.
I've gotten a few things, but the space has been cool. Like, I don't know. I guess I've been really lucky because I've been operating in good faith just because that's how I wanted to navigate this space. That's how I try to navigate life. Is just do good to others, and that energy has been continually returned to me. Now, I can't say it's consistent. Like, I can't say it's 100% consistently, but other than that, I just try to do right and have good faith with folks, and then I'll let them decide how they want to act and respond towards me. I know once I go to probably a state or a national level someday when I run for those seats. I know it's going to get a little bit more hostile, but I just think my method will work because people want change. They don't want the hyper-partisan gaminess of politics. They just want to know that there's going to be a roof over their head, that they're going to have food on the table, that their kids are going to have a good education, that they're going to be childcare, and they can make a livable wage. But when we get on the weeds and talking about all this other nonsense that doesn't advance the middle class, and the poor and middle class, then you're just wasting my time and you're wasting the public's time. So I'm like, that'll be my initiative, is keeping on task and keeping on subject, and let the naysayers and all them folks just talk.
So correct me if I'm wrong too, because in the political world, at least from my view of social media, it almost seems like at every level, almost, except for like the local you see more humane and design. We trying to do this, but at those higher levels, it's almost like the goal is to be a tyrant. Am I wrong for?
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah, they're trying to get attention and get their following up and prepare for the next seat.
Okay.
So the more extreme you are, the more folks are in tune and start to pick up who you are
and try to be persuasive too, with becoming a tyrant, because it's like that's not what we need.
Like, no, not at all.
Like,
what's the saying where they talk about like bad press is still good press? Like,
all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. That's I mean, I think that's the model for a lot of politicians. They
put it out there.
Coverage, and that coverage will lead to a more following. And then when they're ready to launch for a bigger seat, they have that following.
Yeah.
But it's social media's false sense of security. Because I don't truly believe followers lead to votes. Followers are just folks that are following.
Absolutely.
The votes are the folks that are at home watching TV,
showing up,
working, cooking dinner. Like, that's where the votes are. So yeah.
And I think we can't even stop that freight train right now of social media taking off and creating them narratives and creating what happened at the Capitol, which I'm also hearing different which I'm also hearing different things that actually started on a black web called 4chan or some stuff like that, but that's not the here nor there. But like we can't even like stop that. Like we can't even stop that beast of social media. We talked a little bit about cancel culture earlier, and I want to get your opinion on it, because social media's created that. It gave it that platform, it gave it that heartbeat. So what are your opinions and your views on cancel culture?
Yeah, I think it's scary a little.
One wrong word.
Yeah, just one wrong word can just sink you.
Yeah.
I think what we need to have more is we need an accountability culture where we're pulling people aside and educating them and giving them an opportunity to change. Now, if I'm the rule of give people chances to change, so at least 3 strikes and you're out.
Absolutely.
If you're consistently doing something that's wrong, then it's time to put you out into the deserts and let you have your own exodus of finding yourself and who you are, and what you want to do in society. That's my approach. That's what I would hope. But yeah, I just try to give people grace,
the benefit of the doubt,
and then pull people aside, like, hey, bro, like, why are you saying stuff like that? That's not the way anymore. Because I think we all have been educated in certain ways and trends and cultures that there's some problematic beliefs and that we need to unlearn. And what's great about being an implicit bias trainer, I have these conversations all the time. I talk about some of the biases I had to unlearn, and how they can do it. So I believe
that's huge.
People are born blameless. You come out the womb and you have no concept of life. You have no connections, and you start picking up these realities. And not these realities, you start picking up these concepts from the folks you're around, the family you're around, the TV you watch, the media you listen to, the music you listen to, and you start connecting these dots. And we know that media isn't rooted in reality. We know that black folks aren't just rappers and gangbangers and drug dealers and football players. That's not the reality of it all. We are businessmen. We are college educated. We're doctors. And so forth. But if that was put out, put out there, our white counterparts would see a different reality of us.
Yeah.
So when those associations are connected, they're still believing, like, what? They'll come up to you and say, "What sport did you play?" "Oh, you're an athlete."
Yeah.
No, I'm not an athlete. I'm just I'm studying politics. I'm studying engineering.
Yeah.
So to bring that back down is, if we're not born with any associations, those are connected through who we know, what we see. And then if we don't unlearn those will turn into bias. And if we don't unlearn those bias, those turn into prejudice. And if those prejudice aren't unlearned, those turn into racism. And at the top of the pyramid, if that racism isn't unlearned, it leads to hate. And that's what we're dealing with here in America.
That's a whole pyramid of problems that's building up.
It's a pyramid. It's
step by step.
And we can unlearn it. People just have to be not bold, just willing to listen.
Open.
Willing to listen to a different reality and how our beliefs and how our actions are affecting someone else. So I see it every day. I see, older folks unlearning some of these bias, and they're crying with me, and we're unpacking some of the stuff that we have learned. It can be done. but it can't be done through cancel culture.
No.
Because cancel culture will only force folks to go inward and double down on what they believe.
Yeah.
Now, there's things that I won't put up with, and I'll walk away with is just outright racism, xenophobia, homophobia. I don't have the time for that.
Yeah.
I'll try to start a conversation to change your heart, but if you consistently double down and don't change, I walk away. I'll block you. I won't show up at your events if you're not willing to change. So, is it council culture? No, it's me protecting my my mental health.
Yep.
It's me protecting my space. It's me protecting my energy.
Because that sits on your conscience, and like there should be walls, there should be parameters, but like
For sure.
just the fact that if you're blue state, I'm red state, we can't even have a conversation with each other. Like that has to stop. Like,
Weird.
Like, and I think it's funny that politicians from different parties don't speak with each other. Because what I was watching, they did a study on it, and they put them in it was a dinner, and they mingled with each other for like the first time in Washington, and they had some of the same interests, and like they agreed on a lot of things, and it's just that once those walls are put up, especially now in today's, how can you get past it? It's like, no, I'm not like you just said, I'm doubling down on it, and that's the end of the end.
Yeah, it's like a sport. It's like you're my competitor, and we're going to wage war against each other. But there's also been there's been offenses, and it continues to perpetuate on itself, where the wound's just wide open, and I do see a path of healing it, but it's going to take something catastrophic,
something mighty,
and even then, I just don't know. I know 9/11 united us. I know war has united us historically throughout our nation. But
COVID didn't.
We need honestly, what I think will unite us is a leader who is a great communicator, has a very empathetic heart, and has a great team going into, because that leader I believe it'll be a Democrat. I hope it's me. No, I'm just kidding. But hopefully,
no, seriously.
that'd be nice. I hope it'd be a leader who wins urban America, but stays very connected to rural America, so misinformation isn't siphoned out. With Obama was a great leader, has a message of hope, and it was real. But what happened with Obama's terms was Republicans had a great operations of misinformation. That's when, not when misinformation was created, but that's when we see when the rise of Trump began. When the narrative of this black guy,
like the birth certificate thing, all that good stuff,
racism and the hate and the fear mongering.
They ran a good campaign with that.
It was gross, but I mean,
it was good for them. Let me
good
say
for
that.
them. It was good for them, but I don't think Democrats were prepared to combat that. And I think it can be done. It's through real relationships and real rapport in rural America, because farmers are hurting, folks in small towns are hurting. Their schools are closing, their shops and mom and pop shops are going away. So we just have to have those tough conversations. I'm more than willing to do it. I'm capable of doing it. But my whole goal is to someday run for president. I'd really, really enjoy that and be a mouthpiece of hope, vulnerability, community, showing up for one another, and
absolutely. Stay in the fight, brother. Yeah, you got a team behind your Army of Support cast. Last but not least, sticking to the social media strip, do you have any rules that you're willing to share with the parents that tune into this show, or the kids that tune into this show, on what are your rules, what are your visions and aspirations for your family when it comes to social media?
So I'm gonna let my children be on social media. I think the rules I'll probably have for them is don't put anything out there that you don't put anything out there that you cannot take back. So like pictures, phrases, be very conscious of what you say and how you treat others. I think that's the most important rule because it's only a screenshot away. And with how society works and getting rid of people and canceling them, I just want them to be mindful of that. Nice. I've already made some of those mistakes. Yeah. And
that's why you were here before them to teach them that.
So teach them, because I remember when MySpace came out and our teachers, there wasn't too much to know about that. But as we got into like college, you started hearing the trainings of like, be mindful what you post now because employers are watching now. So yeah, I think that would be the most important thing. Monitor your kids' usage is what I'm starting to hear. Yeah.
But yeah, have shut off times is a good one. I'm starting to hear like 7:30 or so, any random time like that is time to shut it down. Because my biggest fear with it, especially for a young man about to walk into marriage with dreams and hopes to have kids, is the comparison. Oh, yeah, like I do a good job at not comparing myself to anybody on social media, because like I think LeBron posted this like in 2018. He was like, F social media, I'm dope in real life. I really feel like I'm dope in real life. Like, I know like this is like a highlight reel or illusion, but like most people don't, like that's the sad part about it. Most people don't know that. So that's
following and
yes,
how many likes
the
they get.
influence. Yeah, like that doesn't matter. Forget them likes. Like forget them likes. It's fake. Likes don't put money in your pocket. But
you can buy a lot of them. Like forget them likes.
I done seen a lot of people buy. Not judging. Do what y'all do. Hey, run your race. But before we let you go, man, I know appreciate your time again. Just shout out your plugs one more time, where we can find you, where we can locate you, where we can get behind this campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. First thing is you can visit our campaign website at Justyn Lewis, that's JUSTYN Lewis, LEWIS.com. That's our campaign website. Hit that volunteer button. We're looking to build an army, infantry of volunteers, and it's growing. To be able to door knock and show up when needed, and also turn those volunteers over to, once the seat's won, that we just continue to show up for our community. We do what we want to see done here in the city. Next, to follow me on Twitter, it's Justyn4, the number 4, DSM, and it's the same for Instagram, and then you can just look me up, Justyn4 City Council on Facebook. If you want to follow my business, it's lewislawnlabor.com. You'll learn a little bit about the niche project that we do that's has blessed me and my family. And then you can find us on Instagram at Lewis Lawn Labor with the @ sign. And then what else we got? My nonprofit's Des Moines Selma. Feel free to follow that. It's Des Moines spelled out, and Selma, SELMA. But yeah, those are all my handles. We're
going to have those below, y'all. Yep. But appreciate you for coming on the Minds with Hakeem, brother. Yes. We appreciate you, and we
hope you have me back.
In due time. But that wraps up another episode of the Minds with Hakeem podcast, and y'all be blessed. Peace.
Y'all have a good one.